to get that compact passed. And it was a little bit controversial even then. But when we had to join the new RN Compact about 4 years ago, I think, it was quite controversial because there were many legislators who thought we don't want to be in this compact because there are a lot of reasons not to be. And the only reason it passed was because there are so many nurses in New Mexico that live across the border in Texas, on the east side, that live in El Paso, that live in Colorado. So many nurses on compact licenses practicing in New Mexico. If we had not passed that compact, and we only did it with like a couple days to spare, then all of those nurses would no longer be able to practice in New Mexico. So it was kind of forced on the legislature, and they were not happy about that. And so since then, they have refused to pass in the Senate Judiciary Committee any healthcare compact. But no one has tried to introduce the APRN here. But these are questions to think about. I mean, what are we trying to solve? How does it benefit the patients? How does it benefit you? We're not going to answer those now, but those are things to think about when this comes up again. And so the National Council did an original APRN Compact in 2015, and that one required 10 states. But by 2018, they only had 3 states, so there were problems with it. And so they rewrote it and released it in August 2020, and it only needs 7 states. Now there are 2 states, but wasn't there just another state? I think maybe another state, just like in the last couple of weeks, passed the compact. So now they have 3 states, and they need 4 more for it to actually go into effect. Now, what does it do? So let's talk about some of the pros. 1 license. You can go from state to state. Now, one of the problems that we have with the RN Compact is we don't know who's here. We don't have any clue as the Board of Nursing. The Board of Nursing has no clue how many nurses. Are there 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 nurses working on compacts in New Mexico? We have no idea. If we're trying to solve workforce issues, how can we do that when we don't know how many nurses are actually here? You know, the school district, Gadsden School District, uses a lot of El Paso nurses, and they know how many nurses are on a compact. The hospitals know how many nurses are on a compact, but they're not required to share that information with anybody. So we don't know how many people. So, you know, 1 license, practice in many compact states, sounds good. That's one of the problems. Does it, maybe it increases access to care. It makes telehealth easier, that's for sure. If you're a nurse practitioner, you can, and you're doing telehealth, or you're doing phone or whatever, you can do it in all the compact states. Disaster relief in compact states. Of course, most states have laws that allow healthcare providers to come into the state without getting a license to deal with emergencies or crises. And actually, we suspended some of those rules in New Mexico for healthcare providers to come in during COVID. It allows military spouses to work in compact states if they come here, and it saves a lot of money for NPs who want to practice in multiple states. So those are some of the pros. Now this is the tricky one. So in the compact, it says that if you as a state agree to pass the compact, if you have a supervision or collaboration requirement, it's no longer in effect. Now tell me, what is it, 25? I think maybe 26 states now have full practice, right? New York just passed there. Kansas too? Kansas, wow. And it took a long time for a lot of these states. We started in 93 and got it. Deborah Walker was the lobbyist at the time. So if you're a state who doesn't have full practice anyway, are you going to pass this compact that says no supervision, no collaboration? Hell no. Because you already have such a powerful medical society that says no nurse practitioners, they have to be supervised. You're not going to pass this compact because you couldn't even pass full practice authority. So it's a pro, but it's never going to happen. And licensees that you can prescribe non-controlled substances with no restrictions. Another thing, that if you can't get that in your own state, you are not going to pass this compact. So these are the reasons that they say it's a good thing, and I suppose it is a good thing, but it's never going to happen. If you can't get full practice, you as a state, your legislature is not going to pass a compact. It helps large corporate facilities with staffing, no doubt about that. All right, let's talk about some of the reasons that our legislators don't seem to like this, and some reasons that are problematic. Again, that's the same thing about prescriptive authority and collaboration. The workforce data. So we're going to have a bunch of nurse practitioners come into New Mexico and we don't know they're here. And you all have so much more, I mean, you work independently and the Board of Nursing is not even going to know you're here. So if under a compact, if a nurse practitioner comes here, we're a member of the compact, they're from another state. If they move here permanently, they're supposed to get the license of the state where they live. But if they're just coming here or they're just crossing the border every day, then they don't have to. And so we know you all have to sign up with the PMP. And a nurse practitioner would come here would have to do that too, because you have to follow the laws of the state where you practice. But maybe they don't look at the rules, they don't know that. You're practicing independently, but the Board of Nursing does not know who you are or where you are. Seems like a problem. Monitoring continuing ed. So under the compact, as it's written, you have to do the continuing ed in your home state where you actually theoretically live. And you have to do the continuing ed in the state where you are practicing. Well, who's going to enforce that if we don't even know you're here? Nobody. Again, the PMP. And then the fact that the compact does in actuality change the laws of the state, the new state where you would be practicing. That is a problem for a lot of the legislators. And of course, AANP and I don't remember what NAP is, but AANP definitely opposes that 2080 practice requirement, because why would you put that into a statute? Those are the kinds of things that really do not belong in statute, specific numbers of hours. Then the sovereignty issue, that is a big one in New Mexico. The head of this commission, the APRN commission, if it ever gets formed, doesn't even have to be a nurse. So you're going to have some non-nurse actually administering it. There are all these issues about the fees that there's no cap on the fees, there's no cap on the budgeting, there's no limit to what a state would have to pay. And they go, well, of course you won't have to pay that much. Well, but the compact doesn't say that. There are certain issues with confidentiality. And all the rules will be written once those 7 states join. And so all the other states that might join in the future will have no input for those rules. All the lawsuits have to be held in the commission state. That's another reason that the lawyers in the legislature hate it. And the legal withdrawal of the compact doesn't become effective. It's like you can't pass a law in the legislature and say, okay, we're out of the compact. And 10 days later, you're out. You can't get out for 6 months. So it is a complex issue with states' rights, and a lot of states are simply not going to pass a lot of these healthcare compacts. I also represent the occupational therapists. They have a compact, but it's never going to pass in the New Mexico legislature as the legislature is made up now. The physical therapists had a compact that they brought in 2021. And that died in the Senate Judiciary Committee. And the speech therapists had a compact, and that died. And even the medical society had a compact, which really wasn't like any of these compacts. The medical society, the medical compact was more like, if you have a license in another state, then we're going to give you a license in New Mexico. It wasn't like you were going to be part of a compact. But even that didn't pass. So it's going to be a problem. And it's so funny, those of you who have been around a long time, the battles that took place in the 80s and the 90s to get full practice authority, prescriptive authority, et cetera. And it came to compromises with our New Mexico Medical Society. Well, of course, the Medical Society does not want this compact. That's not a good reason from my view, but it is an issue. They don't want any more expansion of nurse practitioners. Yeah. Well, the concept of letting providers from one state come to another state and practice, it's not a bad concept. It's all the details. You do lose your sovereignty as a state. You do have to follow the rules of this compact, which might be different than the laws of your Practice Act. You do have to do things that, you have to join this commission, you have to pay fees, and there's no limit on those fees. There are so many details. The concept is good. That is why I think us passing that House Bill 191, which requires within 30 days of coming to this state, you have to get a license if you have a license in another state. That solves a lot of the problems. And of course, you have to pay for that license. But come on. Well, in a compact, you don't pay for a license. All those nurses that are here in New Mexico under the compact, they don't pay for a New Mexico license because we don't even know they're here. That's one of the big problems. We don't know when people on a compact come here and practice healthcare, we don't know they're here. And it makes it harder to discipline them, because if they do something wrong, you have to call their home state and say, so-and-so did this terrible thing, and you need to come and take their license away so they can't practice here. Carolyn, yeah. No, everybody. NP, yeah. Okay, start here. Yeah. I know, yes, but that's. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So because you work for a federal entity and the compact says you can come in here, if we're a compact state, you can come in here and work anywhere and we don't even know you're here. So the Board of Nursing doesn't know you're here. Yes. And we're glad you're here. Okay, we have some more. I think that is an excellent point. Yes. Yes, I think that's a great point. And Carolyn, on that point?
I just want to let everybody know that what has happened, the National Task Force on Nurse Practitioner Education just released their new report on a month ago.
I'm just using that.
And the requirements now, they have really come down on this. The first requirement is the minimum number of clinical hours used to be 500. It is now 750. It is now 750. At UNM, RFMs are already at 800. So that will help somewhat. But here's the other thing, is where you do those hours. I saw in the Albuquerque Journal, someone who had an S, with an S petition, an NP doing all this stuff. And they were presetting the standards. And it is right, clinical. So the NCF said that this has to be in a certain percentage. Have to have face-to-face and appropriate settings, because what we find with a lot of programs, they send these students that take 1,000 students, 1,000 students. You tell me how somebody is going out and doing site visits and ensuring that they're getting what they need. What we have seen in the UNM system, when we get somebody from out of state, from some programs, not all, but from some, they spend all their time in specialty clinics, not in a primary care where they're seeing what primary care takes care of. So it is tightening up. It's getting better. But I'm with you. I'm concerned about not being a state that has full scope practices coming to the state of the level. Just so you know, we are now at 26 states.
Kansas.
Delaware, Kansas, the 26 states with local practice.
Great. Okay, in the back.
So I also am a federal employee and I'm ashamed to plug the VA. You know, in the VA, they're very progressive. Michelle Peacock nationally sits on the National VA APRN Council, our president. And so the VA is very progressive and really has done a lot in the past 5 years to promote nurse practitioners. So when I feel a VA nurse transfers from another state to our VA, you're going to get much more than you. You're going to get somebody a little more independent. And so also the other report,
Thank you. But those are, that's a good reason, I think, that that's this APRN Compact is a little shaky still. All right, other comments, questions? I know that the AANP has taken a position against it, and the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council has taken a position against it, but it would have to be the administration in New Mexico, the Board of Nursing, with permission from the governor to introduce that bill. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Okay, other thoughts, comments, questions about any of this? I know it's the end of the day. I hope it wasn't too boring, and thank you all for being here, and thanks all those people on Zoom, if you're still there.